The WWE Universe thrives on surprises, but nothing could have prepared fans and insiders for the chaos that erupted backstage when Brock Lesnar confronted Bronson Reed. This was not a planned segment, not a throwaway brawl for the cameras. It was a collision of two forces of nature that blurred the line between reality and storyline, leaving everyone who witnessed it scrambling to make sense of what they had just seen. Reed, riding high on an impressive string of dominant performances, had been vocal about his readiness for the main event scene, even hinting that no one in WWE, not even Brock Lesnar, could intimidate him. That confidence became the spark that lit the fuse. Lesnar, entering the building with the same cold focus he's carried his entire career, reportedly made a beeline for Reed with the kind of purpose that sends shivers down even the most seasoned performers' spines. Within minutes, a backstage area normally buzzing with casual chatter turned into the site of one of the most talked about confrontations in recent memory. The spark that ignited the fire. Earlier in the evening, Bronson Reed had been in good spirits, preparing for what many believed could be the start of his elevation into SmackDown's main event picture. Confident in his growing momentum, he was reportedly telling those around him that he was ready to test himself against the very best WWE had to offer. Insiders say those comments, while natural for a hungry competitor, were perceived by some as a direct challenge to Lesnar's standing as WWE's ultimate predator. For Brock, such words have never been ignored. Witnesses noted that Lesnar walked into the backstage area with a particular intensity, his eyes fixed, his movements deliberate. To those who have followed his career, this was the familiar posture of a man who thrives in confrontation, a man who doesn't just compete, he asserts dominance. That intensity was the fuel that transformed Reed's confidence into the opening moments of an unforgettable clash. The confrontation begins. According to multiple accounts, the first moments were verbal rather than physical. Reed, aware of Lesnar's looming presence but unwilling to back down, reportedly asserted himself with bold words, reminding everyone of his recent dominance and insisting that he could take on anyone. Lesnar's response wasn't a speech. It was a look, icy, minimal, but heavy with meaning. The kind of stare that has preceded countless battles in his career. Some describe it as a growl, others as a smirk, but whatever it was, it set the tone. The silence that followed was deafening, the kind of silence that signals the point of no return. In that instant, the dynamic shifted from verbal jousting to imminent violence, a shift that left even veteran performers in stunned anticipation of what would come next. When words turned to action, the escalation was sudden and decisive. Reports differ on whether Reed initiated the first physical contact with a shove or whether Lesnar struck first, but what followed was brutal in its efficiency. Lesnar, known for his ability to unleash raw athleticism in controlled bursts, struck with precision. A knee lift staggered Reed, followed by rapid strikes that displayed both speed and power. The sequence culminated in a thunderous German suplex that sent Reed crashing against a steel equipment cart, a visual that several witnesses described as cinematic in its intensity. It wasn't a chaotic scuffle. It was calculated, purposeful destruction, executed by a man whose instincts remained sharper than ever. Medical concerns and immediate fallout. The moment Reed hit the steel, WWE medical personnel were alerted, rushing to ensure his condition was stable. Reed, durable as always, was reportedly dazed but conscious, clutching his ribs and shoulder as staff checked for injuries. Officials on the scene debated whether to intervene immediately or let the moment breathe, with some producers quietly acknowledging that the raw realism of Lesnar, asserting his dominance, would generate buzz unlike anything scripted. In that moment, the dual priorities of safety and spectacle collided, a balancing act WWE has walked for decades, and one that was on full display during this confrontation. The power of presence. What made this clash so significant wasn't just the physicality, it was the aura surrounding it. Lesnar's reputation precedes him, and his ability to command attention with presence alone is unmatched. Reed, despite his own size and strength, admitted afterward that the sheer force of Lesnar's intensity shook him in ways he hadn't experienced before. "It was like staring at a wall that could move faster than me," Reed reportedly confided to colleagues. a candid reflection that underscores just how intimidating the beast remains. That sense of psychological impact, beyond the bruises and aches, may prove to be the most compelling storyline to emerge from this encounter. Creative opportunities ahead. Inside WWE's creative meetings, the excitement was palpable. The confrontation offered a ready-made storyline. Lesnar, the established apex predator, versus Reed, the rising powerhouse who dared to challenge him. Executives reportedly mapped out a potential long-term feud, blending in-ring battles with backstage segments and psychological warfare. The plan, insiders say, is to showcase Reed not just as a dominant force, but as a resilient underdog, tested in ways he never has been before. The arc of redemption and resilience could carry him through months of programming, culminating in a marquee showdown at a major pay-per-view like SummerSlam or Survivor Series. Locker room repercussions. Beyond creative plans, the confrontation had immediate ripple effects in the locker room. Talent who had been watching Reed's rise closely were suddenly reminded that in WWE, no one is untouchable. The aura of Lesnar's unpredictability was reinforced, prompting wrestlers to reassess their own strategies. Some reportedly studied the footage to analyze Reed's mistakes, while others debated whether alliances might be necessary to survive in an environment where Lesnar's presence loomed so large. The locker room atmosphere shifted from casual camaraderie to cautious calculation, with everyone aware that the rules of engagement had just been rewritten. Reed's road to redemption. For Bronson Reed, the confrontation marks a pivotal chapter in his career. While the immediate aftermath left him shaken, sources say he has embraced the challenge, committing to both physical recovery and mental preparation. His promos and social media presence are expected to reflect a new layer of vulnerability and resilience, transforming his character from an unstoppable juggernaut into a fighter wrestling with self-doubt, fear, and the drive to overcome them. Creative insiders believe this evolution could endear him to fans in new ways, positioning him as a relatable, sympathetic figure who embodies the struggle of overcoming insurmountable odds. The apex predator reinforced for Brock Lesnar, the confrontation was a reminder, both to fans and to the locker room, of why he remains one of WWE's most compelling figures. His ability to dominate physically, intimidate psychologically, and generate viral moments makes him invaluable, even in an era where part-time performers are often criticized. Lesnar doesn't just win matches, he redefines hierarchies. His presence forces everyone else to raise their game, to adapt, or to fall by the wayside. This latest incident reinforced his aura not as a relic of the past, but as an active, evolving force still capable of reshaping WWE's present and future. Building toward the big fight. As creative maps out the next steps, the strategy is clear. Build anticipation gradually, show Reed's journey of resilience, and keep Lesnar looming in the background as the ultimate test. Smaller victories for Reed will rebuild his credibility, while teasers, promos, and near confrontations will maintain tension. The eventual clash, insiders say, will not only be about athletic competition, but about narrative payoff, a battle between a man proving his worth and a man reminding the world that he remains the ultimate predator. The stakes, both in storyline and perception, could not be higher. Conclusion: a story beyond a fight. In the end, what began as a shocking backstage confrontation has already grown into something larger. A narrative about dominance, resilience, respect, and the eternal struggle between predator and challenger. For Bronson Reed, it is a test that could define his career, transforming him from a powerhouse to a layered, compelling figure in WWE's landscape. For Brock Lesnar, it is another chapter in a legacy built on fear, respect, and unrivaled presence. And for the WWE Universe, it is a reminder of why they watch, for the unpredictability, the intensity, and the moments that make them question where reality ends and storytelling begins. The stage is set, the lines are drawn, and the story of Lesnar and Reed is only just beginning, a story that promises to dominate conversations, programming, and fan imaginations for months to come.